You don't bring me flowers anymore. You really should. Hi guys, today we're going to be learning about special right triangles. What is a special right triangle? Well, we're only going to tackle one special right triangle today. And it's a 45, 45, 90. I need you to memorize these things that I'm going to teach you. It will help you later on if you can memorize it now. If you notice, a 45, 45, 90 has two angles that are the same. When we learned that you have triangles where two sides are the same, we called it an isosceles triangle. So this is actually an isosceles right triangle. 45, 45, 90. It's a very special right triangle. And down here I just have base angles and isosceles triangle are equal. So anytime you have an isosceles triangle, this is an isosceles right. The base angles are opposite. If this is the 45 and this is the 45, which it is in this case, that means obviously those two angles are equal. So these are the base angles and these are the sides that are opposite each base angle. So this side and this side are equal. If that was like 10, then that would be 10 also. So this is an isosceles triangle because two sides are equal and the base angles are equal. So you have to remember base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. We are specifically, like I said, just talking about a triangle with two angles that are 45. So how do we know those two angles are 45 if we have a 90 and we have a 90-degree triangle and we have two angles? Let's just figure out where the 45 comes from. If I have a right triangle and I'm telling you that they're isosceles, then I know that three angles added together, this one plus this one plus this one, have to equal 180. So I know that if this one's 90, then these two together have to equal 90 as well, because 180 minus 90 is 90, right? So if these added together equal 90, then clearly 90 divided by 2 is 45. So that's why this is 45 and this is 45. Okay, so what are we going to learn about this? The first thing you need to write in your notes, besides the stuff I've already said, is what the hypotenuse is. You need to know what a hypotenuse is. A hypotenuse is the longest side of the right triangle across from the 90-degree angle. So in this triangle, this one is the hypotenuse. Notice it's across from the 90-degree angle. In this triangle, that's the hypotenuse. If we go over here, here's the 90-degree angle. This is the hypotenuse. Okay, so it's always across from the 90-degree angle. All right, the leg of a triangle is the sides of a right triangle that make up the 90-degree angle. So in this case, these are the two legs, 10 and 10. Those are called legs, and this is the hypotenuse, okay, because it's across from the 90-degree angle. All right, so this is what you need to know. This is the big lesson of today. When you have a 90-degree, 45, 45, 90-degree right triangle, across from the 45s, we're going to call these sides L, that stand for leg. Whatever this number is, this is always going to be that number times the square root of 2, okay? So the first problems that you're going to get are pretty easy, but you have to remember when you have two equal angles, 45 and 45, you have the two legs. This is going to be leg times the square root of 2. You can remember that number 2 because two of the angles are equal and two of the sides are equal, so we're going to do square root of 2. The number 2 goes along with this, okay? Square root of 2. Two angles equal, two sides equal. All right, so let's see what this all means. If we have an example here, if I tell you that this is 6, and I tell you that that's equal, and I don't tell you that those are what those angles are, you're going to know that this is an isosceles triangle, and you're going to know that that's 6 because of the hashtag thingies there, that they're equal. We're also going to know that this is 45 and 45. I'm just filling in information that I know. What I don't know is what x is. Well, I'm telling you, with the 45, 45, 90-degree triangle, if the L is 6, this is 6, this is 6, then I told you x is going to be 6 radical 2, or L radical 2. that side, this is the hypotenuse, is always the leg times square root of 2. So if we know L equals 6, then the leg is 6, square roots of 2 is my answer. So the answer here is 6 square roots of 2. Okay? At first it's going to be pretty easy. All right, so let's look at this one. This tells you again that these two sides are equal, so that's 4. This is 45, this is 45. I know that base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. And I know they're 90 divided by 2. So if this is 4, this is 4, these are the legs. X is leg times square root of 2. Leg is 4, square root of 2. So x equals 4 square roots of 2. Pretty easy, right? Okay. Well, it gets a little harder when you have a square root of 2 as your leg. Okay. I know this is 45, 45, 90. You always got to look at your picture and say, what does my picture tell me? Well, if this is 45 and 45, then I know these two are equal because base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. And conversely, if you have two angles in a triangle that are equal, the opposite legs are equal as well. So I know this is 7 square roots of 2. This is where we get a problem, okay? I know L equals 7 square roots of 2. And I know my hypotenuse equals L times radical 2. So x is going to be L, which is 7 square roots of 2, times the square root of 2, because that's L square roots of 2. So what do? We just multiply square root of 2 times square root of 2. We did this at the beginning of the year. 7 times square root of 2 times square root of 2. I'm going to show you over here. When you multiply a square root by a square root, you get the square root of 4, which just is 2. So basically multiplying something by its square root twice like this just lifts off the radical and you get that number. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which equals 2. So I'm just going to show you quickly. If it was the square root of 6 times the square root of 6, you would just get 6. The square root of 10 times the square root of 10, you would just get 10, because that would be the square root of 100, which is 10. So you're going to have 7 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. You lift the radical and you get times 2. The answer is x equals 14. So in this case, x equals 14. So you're going to be having to figure out these things. So over here we have the 3 square roots of 2. It's a 45, 45, 90. I know that these two are equal. And I have to figure out x. Well, x is going to be, this is L, and this is going to be L radical 2. So if L is 3 square roots of 2, and then I have to multiply that by the square root of 2 to get my x, then I do 3 square roots of 2 times the square root of 2, which is 3 times 2, which is 6. So the answer is 6. Okay, so we'll do that in class today. Have a good day.